Captain Killall piloted its craft over to the massive ship, maneuvering it so its access port lined up with the destructors. "Our ports aren't a match. Get those damned black bugs to work their magic." "On it!" Orbit answered through the speakers. Sam, an SFP cluster, and the Preserver stood in the airlock waiting. "Modification complete. Begin docking maneuver." The ship inched closer. The destructor shook slightly as it connected and latched onto the much larger craft. The airlock hissed open, and they entered the alien ship's airlock. The door shut behind them. Water poured in and pressurized. The door to the ship opened, and the crew stepped through into a vast darkness. The Preserver was in his element, moving effortlessly through the mountain of water all around them. The SFP were slowed in their rolling, as was Sam in his suit walking through it like the iron suit divers of old. The airlock far behind them, not even a dot of the entry light shining. Something moved past them. Sam was almost knocked over by the force of the pressure wave through the waters. Everyone stopped. A flurry of lights erupted around them. Pinks, yellows, reds, and blues lined the now apparent lengths of tentacles as they settled around them in a large 50-foot-wide circle. In front of Sam, a large yellow eye opened, split in four with a white and black iris. A deep boom, reminiscent of a foghorn crossed with birdsong, was felt through the water. Orbit translated, "Thank you, Sam. We fear our death is still imminent, but you give us a hope." The large beast said, "We hope we can help. One of my station scientists is here with me, as is some of my best cultivators. They need a sample of your algae to test and grow. We may be able to get your filtration systems back to operating." The creature bellowed again. "What will this cost us?" "If we are able to save you, then we have been paid enough." "I do not understand. What are your motives?" Sam stared into the giant sea creature's eye. "Truth be told, I'm curious. I wanted to know what it was like over here, and honestly, this is kind of freaky amazing." Sam sat on the faux sea floor, holding his knees. He kicked and slow-spun in a front flip. "I get so used to the same every day, and yet the different is just on the other side of a couple doors." "You are amused with our ship? What are you guys? Why are you out here?" "We are ocean growers," it bellowed. "We were exploring systems and struck the rift vein. Our ship was thrown here, engines damaged. We have been adrift for quite a while. An ocean sample from last world contains something contagious for our algal blooms." The giant shifted its weight and bellowed again. "Why are you here, Sam? What are you?" "I'm a human. We just do shit, and hope the universe and everyone around us is better off for it." "You are trying to make us better off through your actions?" "Yes, of course. I'm only alive because of luck out here. I'm just trying to share what luck I have." A long tentacle, ending in a mass of smaller manipulator tendrils, delivered a lump of a container into the waiting hands of the SFP ball. "That contains 2 samples, one from our uncontaminated filter, and one from our contaminated ones." Sam stood up. "What is your name?" It bellowed, and Orbit translated it into Sam's ear. "Lord Deepchasm III of the Great Ocean World. Lord Deepchasm, we're going to head back and run tests on these samples. We hope to be able to work out something. We have a plan, but it will take several cycles to complete, and I worry you won't make it that long." "It is odd you worry about us. We accepted our fate many times over. We are thankful you say you will try. Everyone, let's head back. Time is ticking." Sam voiced over his comm to the crew members. They started back toward the destructor. One back aboard the Twain. The SFP cluster and the Preserver hurried toward the zoo lab to start running tests and make cultures. Sam went up to his penthouse and changed into his button-up shirt and slacks. "Orbit, I'm going to do a lap around the station, wander a bit. Keep me posted on any developments, all right?" "Will do, sir." Sam stepped out his front door into a misty, floored hall. He started walking. Sam walked down the zoo arm and entered the zoo. He stopped and looked into an enclosure containing a large, multi-limbed serpentine creature with a massive head and numerous eyes. It curled up into a ball as big as he was and stared at him. After a moment, it struck the protective glass. Sam jumped back. Sam caught his breath and continued walking. He left the main massive enclosure dome and went down the hallway leading to a section of the completed ring between the zoo and the shipyard. The section was closed at both far ends due to ongoing construction, but the area between housed 20 side rooms off of it. One space was already registered as leased out and was powered up. Sam investigated. Sam stepped in the open door. Hanging lights and neon LEDs hung throughout the room. Several tables of tools and parts were along the wall. In the far corner was a large display with 7 young Infinigan gathered around. Sam looked over their shoulders and saw they were watching one play a video game. "What's this?" The one playing didn't look up as it spoke. "It's Earth Tech from Orbit. We built it and she lent us the code." Another one tilted its head and looked at Sam. "It's called a player station. We're going to make an arcade." 2 other juveniles got up and grabbed displays. They returned with them illuminated. The nearest one showed Sam a project. "Look, look! Thousands of games! Visitors are going to love it them. My favorite is the Turismo. When I'm older, I'm going to build a racer. It's going to be incredible." The young one sat back down and looked through a set of car designs. Sam smiled. "I love it. Get some set up and I'll come visit. Keep up the good work." Sam scratched the future racer's ear. "Keep being good." He turned and started leaving. Sam woke up early the next cycle. He was making his coffee and morning toast when he checked in. "Orbit. Status update on the ocean grower situation. The SFP have a tank of algae growing. I can see from the farm camera it is already turning green. I lack cameras in the preserver's lab, but I will patch him through to you." "Thank you." "Hello, Sam," the preserver said through the comms. "Any luck with the microbe?" "Actually, yes. The air is here with me. It is a replicating gene worm. It hijacks the algal cells, not killing them, but using them to replicate more pathogen, and in the process it is releasing toxins into the water." "Can you stop it?" "Oh yes, of course. We have a modified form of the algae made up that is resistant. Standard protein twisting did the trick." "How long until you have enough to begin replacing the bad in their filters?" "I just sent an SFP back to the farms with a vial to start growing. We should have a few plugs within the cycle. We should have the process start reversing in approximately 36 hours. Orbit modified ETA until they are out of breathable water." 32 hours, sir." "How many of the ocean growers are aboard that ship?" Asking. After a moment, Orbit replied, 25, sir." "Put me through to Crunch Crunch." "Yes, sir." The purple hologram appeared. "Crunch Crunch is on the call, sir." "Hey, Crunch Crunch, you there?" "Yes." "What is it, Sam?" "You been working on the modified filter?" "Yes, we had a couple hang-ups, but we are still on schedule." Sam paced. "I had an idea to run past you. How hard would it be to make 25 smaller breather-style versions that could fit the ocean growers?" "Depends, I don't know their anatomy." Crunch Crunch spoke to someone near him. "We just had an idea, Sam. Depending on how they breathe, we may be able to mod this big-ass filter down so it can just support them and run hoses to whatever kind of lungs they have." "If we get you the data on their bodies, can you get it up and going in 32 hours? "With my crew, I think we can." Sam sat down at the head of the table. "Good. Orbit, get them the body scans for the breathers." Miss Mishi hopped into his lap and curled up. "Yes, sir," Orbit said as he got to work. The massive ocean grower ship opened up a bay door, with an energy shield keeping the pressurized water separated from the void of space. Sam, the preserver, 7 Infinigan and Crunch Crunch stood outside on the hull. Sam was in his suit with his tool tray following. The Infinigan had made suits with breather tanks. The preserver was naked, his exoskeleton protecting him from the cold and vacuum of space. The Infinigan walked a large tube over to the hole. On the sides of the tube were 30 coiled tubes with a cup on the end of each. They pushed the device into the open bay. 8 large tendrils wrapped around it and pulled it into the dark waters. The preserver followed, entering the ship with a container of algal plugs. Sam waited for an update in his office. Orbit was streaming a live data feed of their life support system. It was still in the red, but it had stopped decreasing. He took a sip of coffee, still watching. It ticked up a notch. "Orbit, did you see that?" "Yes, sir, they are stable and climbing." Sam waited for an update in his office. Orbit was streaming a live data feed of their life support system. It was still in the red, but it had stopped decreasing. He took a sip of coffee, still watching. It ticked up a notch. "Orbit, did you see that?" "Yes, sir. They are stable and climbing. Good, good. Keep everyone on track for getting them up to 100%. Sam leaned back in his chair. "Feels good." "Sir?" "Yes, Orbit. I've had him waiting due to the situation, but since it is in a state of resolution, you have someone waiting for a meeting." "Who is it?" "Scribbler lawyer. Prache. He has filed a petition for asylum and would like to discuss it with you." Yes, send him in." Prache arrived on a modified walker robot several minutes later. "Greetings, Human Sam." Prache manipulated a small terminal in front of him. A file pinged over to Sam's display. "Oh!" Orbit gasped. "What is it, Orbit?" "Let him tell you, sir." Sam stared at the little lawyer. "My client has petitioned for asylum, utilizing the newly implemented immigration laws you approved yesterday. In paragraph 7 of subsection 5, it states that anyone who is persecuted due to religion, birth, age, sex, race, or other protected statuses can petition for asylum in human territory and, barring no violent criminal acts, will be approved and space found for them. Do you stand by this?" "Yes, I approve of that. I didn't know we had any other vessels come in the last few cycles." "My client is requesting asylum based on the origin of her birth. She was deemed fit for death based on the circumstances of her birth. She has no violent offenses and has several witnesses who can actually attest to her being of benefit to you in this station." Sam looked over the file. "Shineless. Is she being hunted? Is there a threat to the station if we house her here?" "You tell me, sir. You were the one who declared her creation illegal." "Creation? Wait, what? 147 cycles ago, you deemed that your clone Dam was to be the only clone allowed. Beyond him, no others are to exist. Do you deny this?" I may have said that. Is she a clone? Is she human?" Sam stood up. "Orbit, did you know about this?" "No, sir. It appears she has a home in the Infinigan habitat. They have been keeping her hidden out of fear you would have her executed. They're quite good at avoiding observation tech. All systems in their habitat are closed and under their direct control." "Where is she? I've got to meet her. Is she okay? Who is she a clone of?" Prache tapped his terminal. "Sign here, here, and here. She does not wish to meet until she has sanctuary status approved." Sam touched the data pad and signed his name. "Gladly. Now where is she?" Curator and Dam strode down the massive tiled hallway. Dam was in a protective air-filled energy field maintained by 7 totem droids floating around him. "We have joy at you coming here to speak with us," the droids said in echoing unison. Curator smiled, her eye LED blinking from pink to purple. Dam smiled as well. "We're happy to talk to the Council. I bet they are as curious about us as we are them." "Potentially, even," the totems replied. They entered a room large enough to house a blimp. After several minutes of walking, they reached the center where 2 chairs were arranged, with 5 separated blocks encircling the chairs in a half circle. Curator and Dam sat. As they did, 5 holograms appeared, 1 over each block. The leftmost was a large glowing white-horned serpent. To the right of it was a quadrupedal long-necked creature with manipulator tentacles hanging off each side of its head. In the center was a glowing red circular creature, covered in a sheet of elaborate cloth. To the right of center, a bipedal creature was sitting, its features indeterminate due to being covered in intricate metalwork. The 5th hologram on the far right was glowing a dark purple. It was a 6-armed creature with an ovoid head and 3 eyes. The circular creature's hologram in the center spoke. "The Council of the Great Arm is meeting. Present before us is Dam, a human, and his AI curator. Let the meeting commence." The creature then pointed at Curator with a 3-fingered hand. "I am the thought of the Asha peoples. I address you, Curator, now." "All right," she replied. "We wish to know how an uplifted species captured an AI as powerful as yourself." "I am not captured. And what uplifted species are you referring to?" Thought pointed at Dam. "This human. He is uplifted. How does he control you?" Curator laughed. "I obey him, yes. But I do so only because I chose to. And what makes you think he's uplifted?" We have documented cases of altruism. We have several reported cases of win-win dealing arrangements made with several of our uplifted upon visiting the twain. Curator frowned. I do not understand the correlation. How does altruism and fair dealing equate uplifted? The 5 council members looked at one another. Then Thought spoke again. The Totem have spoken highly of your coding capabilities. You have proven yourself on the digital battlefield, and they respect your violent capacity. You seem highly intelligent, and you do not see the correlation? Treat me like I'm stupid, you tell me. Species who escape gravity wells do so out of tenacity, strength, union, domination, and efficiency. To ward off the 99%, all must be cautious, wary, intelligent, and capable. To weaken oneself is to invite destruction. Weaker species tend to attach themselves to the self-lifted, to the detriment of the self-lifted. Expended resources on those unfit will cause the collapse of a civilized race. Thought looked at Dam. Your humans are not self-lifted. They are dependent on others. Dam laughed and motioned Curator to continue. She smiled back. I assure you they are self-lifted, and it sounds like they have found an alternative path. The glowing horned serpent spoke. Explain this. Your kind did not lift them out of their gravity wells. We helped, yes, but they made my kind. Hell, we are modeled after their kind. My mind was actually mapped from a woman named Gloria Finnegan. The 5 members talked amongst one another. The one in the metalwork raised its hand, humming loudly and clacking metal spikes on its protruding mandibles. Thought raised his hand. So you were made before the uplifting of humans? She looked at Dam. He stood up, smiling. Council members, I admit I may seem simple to you, and in comparison, I probably am. What you said of your species, however, applies to mine. We are wary, born scared of the dark. We are intelligent. My brothers and sisters worked hard to create beings as amazing as Curator. We are definitely efficient and capable of domination, frighteningly so. Dam took a breath and looked around at them. We have all of that, but we do have the weakness you described. We rely on one another. We rely on domesticated species. We rely on our allies. We have found that strength comes from cooperation. I find it odd that it is a rarity here. The 6-armed, 3-eyed creature on the right spoke up. Question. Thought spoke. The council recognizes sight of the Dolaki. Speak. Sight spoke. You rely on domesticated species. Explain this reliance, please. Dam sat back down, crossed his left leg. Well, I think it started with maybe cats or horses. I'm not sure, probably dogs. Humans are not the strongest, fastest, or best at most things compared to other life forms on our planet. We only survive due to our pack mentality. We formed social groups, made some fire, and befriended any animals that we could. Why did you befriend animals? Sight asked. No idea. Curator raised her hand. I can answer that to some degree if you don't mind. Dam nodded. Go ahead. Humans come from a line of species that have a strong inclination to take care of their young. The young receive nutrients processed by the mothers, and the mothers have a genetic disposition to allow the young around them. The males have this trait to a smaller extent. Conditions apply, of course. Many of the species related to humans exhibit similar tendencies to take care of young that appear similar to their own species. Humans took this caretaking tendency to a potential extreme, it seems. They master catching and raising any species they could on their homeworld. Each species that they included safely into their society increased their survival potentials. She looked at Dam. That sounds about right, no? Dam nodded. Never thought of it like that. Curator smiled. The term is cat lady, not cat man. True. Is there evidence supporting this? Dam asked her. Substantial amounts. There is a gene found in mammalian species that facilitates the maternal instinct. Those with it are more capable of taking care of young and tolerate them easier. Thought spoke. How long has humanity been space capable? Near 500 years. Ah, still new, no wonder. They are yet unproven. They may still go extinct yet. Dam raised his hand. What? Unproven? Yes, Thought continued. Your species, it seems, is late in learning the necessity of accumulated resources in response to outside threats. Your peacefulness has kept you from experiencing war. You will have a proving eventually. Odd that it is so late. Dam laughed. Yeah, you're probably right. He winked at Curator. Sight asked another question. Curator, your kind has proven capability, it seems. Maybe you have uplifted them and have blinded yourself to it. You have said that they rely on their allies. The humans are dependent on your kind, correct? Curator looked at Dam and answered, We have found that the human method is beneficial for all involved. My kind, without humans. She paused in thought. My kind doesn't do well without humans. We are mutually reliant. Interesting, Thought said. The humans create a codependency on their subjugated, it seems. Thought then typed on a console out of view of the hologram. He then looked back up as the other 4 council members looked down to read. You are currently of no threat to us. The space you occupy is repulsive, and we will keep allowing you to live there. You are deemed worthy of future study. Thought looked at the horned serpent. Go ahead, Churi. The serpent spoke. I am to send one of my children to monitor your station, along with the totem. You will provide adequate accommodation and desired sustenance. You will not hinder him in his duties. Do you understand? Dam looked at Curator. She shrugged. This is on you. Dam stood back up, raising his hands with his head tilted. We're just trying to stay alive out here. We appreciate you allowing us to keep living in our home, and we will gladly get a space lined up for your child. He smiled. Back on Twain, in a makeshift arcade full of Young and Finnegan, Spitzlittle stood watching. She watched as one of Pouchcheek's brood was manipulating 2 controllers, piloting a digital mech down a time tube in a simulation titled Omega Boost. The design crept through her mind. The flashing lights, the engines, the pixelated beauty of a creature similar to them made of metal, causing total annihilation. She tilted her head, eyes wide and fingers twitching to tinker. Across the hall in the far recesses of the Infinigan habitat, in an oxygen-rich enclosure, Shineless sat with Pouchcheek. Prache emailed us, Pouchcheek said. He's heading this way. He wants to meet you. Shineless shivered. He signed. What did he say? He granted your asylum. Prache noted your potential benefit to the station. Sam seemed to accept your stay and wants to meet you. Did he mention to him how I helped design the breathing system for the water creatures? No, he said in the email you should say that in person, to prove your worth and also establish your capability to speak up. He said his research is proving a sort of hierarchy in human society, and that it may be wise to assert yourself. I'm scared. You and me both, dearest one. Pouchcheek held her close. Shineless hugged her back. You may not shine on the outside like us, but you shine like us on the inside. Shineless cried on her shoulder. Thank you for taking care of me. Don't worry. Whatever happens, Crunch Crunch and I are with you. We have proven helpful to Sam. He must recognize our contribution, and he will see yours in time.